Welcome to Java programming. In this session, we are going to deal with arrays in Java. You are very familiar with arrays in C. I'm very sure you have used extensively arrays in C language. How do we declare an array in C language? But I say I give the type followed by array name, and within square brackets we are going to tell how much of memory to be allocated. So I'm allocating here memory for 20 integers. Similarly, I want to declare an array X which can store 40 floating point numbers. Similarly, here I have got one more array called name, which with the character type, and this is a string. Of course, in Java we call string, but in C we always said character name, and I gave within square brackets the total number of characters I can store in this variable called name, which is a character array. In Java also, you can use the same method to declare these arrays, but there is also a different way. Therefore, let us learn how to create an array or arrays in Java. As you see here, I want to create an array X of integer type. So I say int square bracket. Earlier we put square bracket after X. This time what we are going to do is int square brackets means this variable which comes after that is an array variable, and we use this new. New is the keyword used, we are familiar with. So then I say new, and you create therefore a space for 10 integers. So integer square brackets 10. So you allocate so much of memory to store integers in X. Similarly, here I have got one more array called Y. It is of the double type, and again same new double 20. I can store 20 numbers which are of double type. So this is how we create arrays in Java. So as I said, X is an array which can store 10 integers, and Y is an array which can at the most store 20 floating point double numbers. Now here is the way, as you are very familiar in C also, how when you say x10, so how many, it starts, the numbering index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9, and you can store therefore these numbers into these various cells in my array. So 0 up to 0 to 9, therefore 10. Here from 0 to 19, altogether 20 numbers can be stored. So let us do some exercises now and understand the use of array in Java. So to do that, you're familiar, to input numbers into an array, we have always used looping statements in C, and we are going to use similar looping statement also in Java. You have got the for looping statement, and the syntax is for I. This is a initial value, semicolon, I less than equal to final value. Then you increment I plus plus. So I is I plus 1. And all the statements come here, whatever statement you want to have. So here we will get, therefore, give statement to input numbers into an array. Similarly, you can use while loop. It's very similar to the while loop in C. While, as long as the relational expression is true, you go on doing this looping statement and execute these statements. So these are two looping statements we are going to use in working out some of the problems, the for and the while loop. You are familiar with that, so I don't have to spend much time. So let us get into the first problem. The problem is to program to input just 5 numbers into an array and print the content of the array using for loop. This is always the first program we do with for loop, and we are going to do the same here. As you are familiar, we are going to import scanner to input numbers into an array and formatter to print the content of the array. So we are going to name this class as input print numbers dot java. So you have to save this program as input and print numbers dot java, and this is the public class. Inside that I have got the main function. So I declare my array of called x, which can at the most store 20 integers. So let us, this is first thing, and I'm going to using this keyword new to create this array. Now I have to import, I've got imported scanner. I have to create an object called scanner because we are going to use that object to input numbers into this array. So I declare an object scanner from scanner, and then I say system out print line input 5 numbers. I'm giving instruction to the person who is using this program to input 5 numbers. So immediately what we do is we get into this looping statement. Int I is equal to 1 starting, I is less than equal to 5 because we want to input 5 numbers, I plus plus the increment operator. Then I say xi is equal to scanner dot next integer. If it is a float, I would have said next float. Since I have declared my array as an integer array, I am saying next integer. Now this for loop is going to input 5 numbers into this array starting from 1. I am not putting any number into the 0th location. So I am starting from 1 to 5. Now I have inputted these numbers. Now I want to print the content of this array, the numbers. So very simple. I am again using this for loop, but this time I say printf %d. So I'm going to print these numbers one after the other in the same line. So I'm using, therefore formatter is here. I'm using %d as you have done in C programming, same the %d x of I. So this is how we print the content, and this is the complete program to input and print numbers. I'm inputting 5 numbers here and then printing those 5 numbers using the for loop. Now let us get into, as I show you here. So after writing this program, you get this code, you save it as input print numbers.java. Then you compile it using Java compiler, and then use Java. This is a virtual machine, Java JVM. Then you call this program input print numbers, that is the bytecode program, and it executes therefore the statements input 5 numbers. I have inputted these 5 numbers. The numbers entered are immediately in the same order they are printed here. So this is how the output when we execute the program which I showed you. Now let us get into one more program. So program to input 5 numbers into an array and find the average of those numbers using for loop. In the first exercise, we just inputted 5 numbers and printed 5 numbers. This time we are going to do something extra. We are going to find the average of those numbers. To do the average, first of all, I have to find the sum of those numbers. And once I find the sum of those numbers, you divide, since I am entering n numbers, divide by n and then get the average and display the average. As you are familiar, I don't have to repeat this. You are creating an array X which can contain up to 20 numbers. You have created a scanner object to input numbers. Then I say program to input some numbers and find the average of those numbers. This is very important. Every program should have a title. So when a person starts using that, the person knows what he is or she is supposed to do. Then you say how many numbers? I want to get the value for n. So input n numbers, some numbers. So therefore I get here how many numbers, or input the value of n. So I get using next integer, I get the value for n. Now I get into the loop as we have done earlier. We are inputting these n numbers, and then I'm going to declare 2 variables, float, average, and sum, because we have, first of all, we have to find the sum and then find the average. To find the sum, again I have to go write the loop here, same loop. Sum is a plus or equal, or sum is equal to sum plus x of I. You can write that way also, or this way. So here I am finding the sum of those n numbers in this array. Now I found out, now I have to find the average. So average is equal to sum divided by n. So this gives you the average of those numbers. Now I want to display. First of all, I want to display those numbers which I have entered, and after that I print line. I print the average of those numbers. Here I am using that formatter. Here I am not using the formatter. So let us see what happens. Here, I've got this program. First, I compile it, then I use Java virtual machine, and then get the execute this program, and program to input numbers, the title of the program, how many numbers I've inputted in 5. I've entered 5 numbers, so numbers entered are those same numbers are displayed, and here you have the average of those 5 numbers, that is 10. You could check that, and that is how we write a very simple program to find the average of n numbers, some numbers in an array. Thank you.